Hi lovely, Smiley here. Happy Friday. How are you all doing? Made it to the end of the week? Yeah. So if you're around, come and say hi. Tell me how your week's been. I want to jump online because I first of all want to say thank you to all of you who came to my free training. It was epic. In the end, we had over 100 parents who came, which just made me delighted. And I've had so many nice emails from all of you telling me about your insights and your aha moments. And so that's been a very worthwhile exercise. And I think it's made people think. I've also had quite a few of you off the back of that applying for my new online course, How to Be Your Own Best Friend. And the whole point of the course is to package up some good self-esteem for your child. So I thought today that I'd do a little self-esteem audit with all of you to see how your self-esteem was, but also to kind of explain to you how self-esteem, so self-esteem is how much you value yourself and how much you think you're worth as a person, so how you see yourself, how that underpins all of my work. So you may remember, not so long ago, I was doing my coaching workshops and we did the secret ingredients of self-confidence, friendship know-how and get your worries out. All of those three courses used to run on a cycle. Secret ingredients, no, friendship know-how always just filled up without any problem at all. Get your worries out, not so much, because actually the really anxious children didn't want to leave their parents, and actually the parents were anxious too and didn't want to leave their kids. So that was always a tricky one to fill up. And secret ingredients of self-confidence, no, never used to fill up, because some people misunderstand what confidence is. And actually, when they think about their children being confident or getting too much or being too big for their boots, they want to make them small. And so maybe they don't want their children to be confident, not consciously, but maybe unconsciously, because that makes it difficult for them. I don't think we consciously don't want our children to be confident, but I always found it fascinating how when I used to say to people, you need to do all three courses, because basically, if you have low self-esteem, so you don't see yourself as a good person and you don't hold yourself in high esteem and you don't respect yourself or love yourself, you will have trouble with friendships. You will also have anxiety, because that creates anxiety. That's why you would come on the worries one. And you would also lack self-confidence, self-belief. You would have high levels of self-doubt. So all of those three courses all had the same tools, tips and techniques, but presented in different scenarios. But what underpinned them all was a child's lack of self-belief, self-esteem, self-respect. Self-esteem, how they see themselves. So I wanted to highlight that today, because I think people think that, you know, oh, my child's just like that. Oh, that's just my child's temperament. Oh, but actually it's not, because the way you value yourself is so important and it impacts every single area of your life. It also impacts how you apply yourself to things, whether you're open to learning new things, types of relationships you embark upon, how successful you are in life, how happy you are. So I have got a list of questions here that I want to ask you, and I want you don't have to share them here if you don't want to, because they're private, but I want you to just run through the list and see how many of them are true for you. And then we can kind of assess where you're at with things, okay? So the first one is, are you highly critical of yourself? So to the first question, are you highly critical of yourself? I'm going to say that I am. I try not to be. I try to be less critical. So that's the first question. The second one, do you like the way you look? See, now this is where we get into that whole parents don't want their children to be overconfident. You can like the way you look and not ram it in other people's faces. And actually, people who are arrogant and haughty and appear to love themselves, it's normally in an unhealthy way. Like, that's a false bravado, a false arrogance, which comes from low self-esteem. People who have got really good self-esteem, that are confident and comfortable in their own skin, don't have to get on social media and do 50,000 selfies. They don't need to prove it to anyone, because they know who they are, and that's the point. Do you find it hard to accept compliments? So do you brush compliments off? Or if someone says, oh, that's a nice top, you go, oh, what this old thing? It's Primark. I'm trying to say thank you now when people pay me a compliment. And actually, I've written a blog post. I don't know what the URL is, so I'm gonna have to dig it out. But the blog post that I wrote about do you know the real definition of confidence also talks about accepting compliments. It's a really good one, so I'm going to write that down and dig that out because my laptop's over there, so I can't get to it. Next question: do you compare yourself unfavorably to others? So comparison, as we know, is the thief of joy. Thief of joy. Everyone is on a different journey, so comparing yourself to another parent or a sibling is just like comparing apples and bananas. It's not a like for like comparison, and actually that is just robbing you of your joy. You don't have to be like other people, you just have to be comfortable with who you are and accept yourself. So I think that kind of translates into parenting, like when we see other families doing things or other kids behaving in different ways and we think, my kid's not doing that, therefore we must be doing it wrong. Why can't you just be doing it differently and that's okay? You know, who dictates what's right or wrong for one person? I don't know. And again, if you're doing the whole comparison thing and then you're just following like sheep just because you've seen someone else do it, you're not doing it because it's not coming from a place of something that you think is the right thing to do. You have to really know yourself to know what you want. So my next question is your glass half full or half empty? And whether your glass is half full or half empty, I think has a lot to do with your internal dialogue. So the voice inside your head. I'm not talking about psychotic voices. I'm talking about the way that you speak to yourself, the way that you think in here. So do you think positively or do you think negatively? Have you got a really critical, mean girl voice who makes you wrong, criticizes you, judges you? This is not a nice voice. Sometimes it's the voice of a parent or the voice of an influential adult figure that you've grown up with. So you have to become aware of that voice. Or is your voice really kind and compassionate and caring and forgiving? Next question. Do you find it hard to make decisions? So do you know what you want and what you don't want? Do you know what you like, what you don't like? Are you okay about speaking up so you can get your needs met? Or do you fear being rejected or people saying no to you so you don't actually ask for what you want? And then if you're not very good at making decisions, do you then say things like, oh, I don't know, or oh, I don't mind, you decide, and then you let other people make decisions for you? That is a sign of low self-esteem because only you know what is right for you. No one else can tell you what's right for you. And then kind of leading on from that, the next question is, do you find it hard to say no, or do you find it hard to hear no? So is hearing no feels like a personal rejection, you're taking it personally, and equally is it hard for you to say it to others? So these are all really good questions. So you might want to watch this more than once and write down, you know, which one of these are true for you. So do you avoid conflict or play small because you don't want to make a fuss? So, you know, I don't know if you order something in a restaurant that's not very nice. Do you just eat it or go hungry because you don't want to pipe up? You don't want to make a fuss. Well, you don't value yourself if you're not going to speak up and say, I'm sorry, I can't eat this. It's not very nice. So that's a really important one. And sometimes maybe in relationships, you avoid conflict with stronger personalities because you think, if I speak up and make a fuss, and some of those personalities have got a habit of twisting things around. So if you speak up and say, don't be rude, that wasn't very nice what you said, and then they turn it around and go, oh, you're so sensitive, and you just think, yeah, I am sensitive and that's my gift, thank you. But that doesn't negate the fact that you've just been really rude to me. So if you value yourself, you'll stick up for yourself, you'll be your own cheerleader. Whoop, 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 whoop. I think that's the back of the Smiley thought card, isn't it? I'm important. The back of the duck, it says, be your own cheerleader. Whoop, whoop, go you. I swear it does. Hang on, let me find my little duck, my favourite one. Here it is, look. I don't know if you can see the writing if it goes backwards, but it just says whoop, whoop, go you at the bottom. That's my favourite card. Do you care about what other people think of you too much? Do you get obsessive or think, oh, I can't do that. I see that a lot in my online groups. I have a lot of stealth followers. So I noticed the other day that a lot of you like my post, but you haven't actually liked my page. So I'm thinking, how are you getting me in your newsfeed if you haven't liked my page? Well, it's quite possible because you're actively going to my page every day to see what I'm posting. So if you're a stealth watcher, welcome, because everyone's welcome and people don't have to do things that don't feel comfortable. But if you're making that mean, what do people think if I'm following Smiley? Again, who cares what they think? It's none of their business. And if they think they're so damn perfect, everyone could do with a little bit of Smiley in their lives. None of us are perfect. We're all learning. So, you need to stand up for yourself and think people are going to judge you anyway. They're going to make up their own stories about you and have their own opinions about you. And that's not true, and it doesn't make it a fact. And it's your business and nobody else's. So the next question is, are you comfortable losing or not being the best? So are you quite competitive? Do you actively or covertly compete with other people, keeping up with the Joneses? And are your children like that? Do your children find it hard to lose? Do they always have to win? Because when you have good self-esteem, you don't have to be the best. You don't have to win at everything because you know who you are. And so you've got nothing to prove to anybody at all. The next one, are you okay about making mistakes or receiving constructive criticism? So if you're trying to be a perfectionist, that's a sign of really low self-esteem because perfection is absolutely impossible. And if you are not comfortable making mistakes, you're less likely to try things, you're less likely to learn things, and that makes it quite hard to grow as a person. And actually I think what you do is you avoid making mistakes, or you try and avoid them, and actually you just end up making them because that's life. We all make mistakes, don't we? Next question, do you have chaotic or dramatic relationships? So that was what the free training was about this week. I think it's still up for another day, so if you want to get on board with that, smileyforlife.com/safe, and there's a way in there for you to get out of the relationships. A sign that you are entering into relationships with people who lord their power over you, or where there's an unequal balance of power, or where you find yourself caught up in a drama and you feel like you're in a lose-lose situation. All of those are signs that you're tolerating other people's bad behaviour. You may even be making excuses for it. So you don't want that. You don't want that. That's a sign you've got low self-esteem. And then another question, how would you rate your self-care? So 1 is low, 10 is high. How would you rate your self-care? Do you take care of yourself? Do you feel guilty about putting yourself before other people? Self-care is just sometimes not about bubble baths and candles. It's actually about being able to say no to people and honouring your own feelings, not signing up for things that feel uncomfortable to you, not getting involved in things which you don't actually want to do. If you're just going through the motions, value who you are. If you don't want to do it, don't do it. Yes, all of your choices have consequences, but it will mostly be about other people's disappointment. And do you know what? In life, people are going to disappoint you and you're going to disappoint them. And you've got to learn to deal with that. And that's where emotional resilience comes in. People who are emotionally resilient know that it's not about them. It's about the other person. And so therefore, they don't take it to heart. I've got 2 more questions for you. Are you a good communicator? Can you ask for what you need? Are you able to listen to what the other person's saying, not listen to reply? And can you speak up for yourself and be assertive? Are you good at kind of reading? Because with children, the way that they communicate with us is not always verbally. So their behaviour or their maladaptive behaviour indicates to us that they're trying to tell us something. And their feelings do as well, actually. So we have to be able to read and translate behaviour and be a good listener as a parent. Also listening to what they don't tell us. Because sometimes children can't process their own feelings. And they tell us in the most strangest of ways. But I think beneath all behaviour and feelings are messages for us to understand. And actually when we start seeing children like that, we're less likely to want to punish them. Punishment undermines self-esteem. Punishment doesn't make children feel good. And there was a debate on this morning with Ruth and Eamon about, I don't know if it was about punishment. Oh yeah, it was about punishment. Should we punish our children? And I couldn't actually read all the comments on there. It's actually making me angry. That people still believe that you have to make a child feel bad about who they are in order to teach them a lesson. How do they learn to walk? How do they learn to eat? How do they learn to read? How do they learn to write? Does that involve any kind of punishment at all? No. So I still think that a lot of people are trapped in the old way of parenting, which actually creates shame, guilt, and really poor self-esteem. And there is a way to parent that doesn't involve punishment, believe it or not, and doesn't involve people feeling bad. We innately feel bad when we do something wrong as human beings. You know, we do have a moral compass, or if you're a household that has a moral compass and a moral conscience, your children are going to have one as well, because they're growing up in that environment, so they become the environment that they live in. Last question. I'm sidetracking. You know me, I love to chat. Are you able to enjoy your own company and feel comfortable in social situations? So people with social anxiety tend to have low self-esteem. Anxiety is a sign that you have low self-esteem. It creates low self-esteem. Lower self-esteem creates anxiety, because at the heart of low self-esteem, it says, I am not good enough, or I am too much. It's a rejection of self. You're not accepting yourself for who you are and being comfortable with yourself, warts and all. So it's not about being the best person or being perfect. And this is the thing, isn't it? It's perfect. I think social media exacerbates that for our kids. You know, they're growing up under a spotlight, under a camera. They didn't have that growing up. It's quite tough, I think. You know, they get photographed a lot, don't they? You have to be able to just show up as you are. Just be yourself and be comfortable with that. That's a sign that you've got good self-esteem, I think. So my new course, How to Be Your Own Best Friend, the whole point of the course is to get your child to like and love themselves and be comfortable with who they are. And then that will impact on all those areas of their life that I've just talked about in those questions. So when you go through the questions, what are your answers? How high is your self-esteem? There is a correlation to how high your self-esteem is versus your child's. Because if they live with you and they hear your negative self-talk, or they see the way you treat yourself as a second-class citizen, you know, you're a leading lady, you're not a chorus girl, but if you treat yourself like that, then your kids will learn to do the same. If you push down your emotions and push down your wants and needs, then same. Your children will say, well, mummy does that. They won't consciously do it, they just mimic you. So I'm going to do that as well. So the reason why I've put this course in place for families is because it's going to be for the child and a parent to do together. And so through your children, you are going to be able to raise your self-esteem as well. Hopefully, if you have got low self-esteem, it's not a criticism, it's not a crime. I have it too. You need to do some work on yourself, but hopefully there are other children, other people in your child's life who can help them who can positively mirror back to the good stuff that they are. So whether that's teachers or grandparents or aunties and uncles or friends or neighbours, because they need a light to be shone on who they are. So if you're a mum that's kind of like doesn't accept compliments, hide your light under a bushel, play small, then your child will copy you. So I'm just going to quickly read through to you what the 6 modules are of the course, so you can get a flavour for what the course involves. But actually, by the end of the course, you will have an increased awareness of your relationship values and your relationship history, and how you're contributing towards dysfunctional relationships. Because if you've got low self-esteem, you will be in relationships that make you miserable, because you don't value yourself, so you're not going to pick like a first-class relationship. You will have a watertight plan for dealing with tricky people. You'll have the skills and words to handle conflict without all the drama. You'll have stronger boundaries so you can take care of your own needs and make sure you're treated respectfully. So you're going to have self-respect. You'll have more self-compassion, kindness and empathy, so you can be more accepting of who you are and not how other people define you. So all those people that are judging you and your fear of like what other people think of you, we're going to help you dissolve that. We're going to improve your communication skills so you can assert yourself. And we're going to step away from being people pleasers, and we're going to stop taking care of other people's feelings. You're going to have more self-worth so that you can find relationships that work for you. So even though the course is called How to Be Your Own Best Friend, it does impact the sorts of people that you choose to hang around with. And then the last thing is how you will have the tools to reduce any social anxiety or worries around judgment and criticism. So in those 6 weeks, you will be sent materials from me to do, and then every Wednesday online we will get together in a Facebook group, just the people that are on the course, and it was a private group, and I will come online like this and talk to you, and we'll go through the materials that you've been working on. So week 1 is a welcome and a mini friendship assessment. Week 2 is get to know yourself. So really get to know yourself, get to know who you are, what you like and don't like, what you will and won't put up with. Week 3 is respect yourself. Week 4 is protect yourself. So protecting yourself from these unsavory characters. And that's what we were talking about in the training, the free training, how to safeguard your child against tricky people. Children need to learn to spot those people, to spot the red flags before the relationship starts happening. If you value yourself as a person, you will not get into relationships like that. You just won't. Week 5, how to stand up for yourself. So if you need to, how to speak up. And week 6, how to be your own best friend. So that's more about managing your mean girl voice, your self-care, how you treat yourself. This is going to be a really, really good course. The investment is £275 or a payment plan of 3 monthly payments of £92. So you get the 6 modules, you get all the course content, and it's done over 6 weeks. And my coaching style is drawing, writing, worksheets, journaling, reflection, talking, role plays. You don't need to be Picasso to draw. It's not necessary. And then in the group there'll be like regular prompts for discussion, and I'll set challenges. So when you learn something new, I want you to put it into practice, and then if you can't do it, I want you to come back and share with us why it was hard to say no, why it was difficult to change your behavior. And changing your behavior starts off with awareness. So the course is going to give you a lot of awareness, but then it's also going to take you on a path so that you know how to make those changes. It's for children aged between 8 and 12. So I think it's for any children that feel like a misfit, they feel different, they feel like they don't belong, that have social anxiety. So all the things we've talked about in that assessment that I just did with you, all those questions that identify that you have actually got low self-esteem. Now, I have written a blog post, smileyforlife.com/self-esteem boost, all one word, where you can go and read some steps to boost your child's self-esteem. But fundamentally, it comes from other things. So I'm going to get into the detail of all that because that's just more psychology. But it comes from if I was a mum, how much I love myself and how positive my filter of the world is, and how I can manage my own feelings and be comfortable with them, and how I value myself and conduct myself in relationships has a massive impact on my children because they're watching me all the time. So if you're interested in that course, it's by application only. So I've had about 14 applicants. I'm still working my way through them. You click on a button to apply and you get sent a link to my diary, and you book a call with me and you fill out a questionnaire, and then we go through it on the phone. And then I tell you if you're successful and you've got a place. I'm looking for 10 families. I'm looking for 10 families who are committed to doing the work and have got the time to dedicate and recognise it's a priority and this is something that your children need to grow up healthy and happy. So I think I've had 14 applicants. I've spoken to nearly half of those people. I think I've got 3 definite bookings, so there's still some spaces left. So if you go to smileyforlife.com/BFF, best friend forever, and then you can see for yourself if you can have a proper read and see if the course is for you. But I think this course will not be like my other online courses. I'm not going to put it in the online learning den with the other courses like Tame Your Angry Dragon and what else have we got in there? You'll Never Fully Dress Without a Smile, because I think this course needs a third person to look at the dynamic between you and your child and what's being played out. So you need my expert eyes on it, and I think I'll always run this course live. But because this is a first attempt, the material's not new. I've been using it in my one-to-one coaching for ages. Because this is a first attempt at running it in a group setting, that's why the course price is so low. Well, it's good value, isn't it? 275 quid for a 6-week course. So we'll see how we go. And then my plan moving forward, because I think it's going to be quite successful, is that I will run it for 6 weeks, then have a break, then I will open the doors again and let another 10 people in. But I'll only ever run it in a small group, and I'll only ever run it as a live, because I feel like it needs my input for people to get the best results, which is what I want. So yeah, there we go. And if any of you are getting pre-going back to school nerves, because I know that's in the air, the Energy Pod on the Wednesday the 29th and Friday the 31st, we've got 2 back to school specials, £15 per family. The Wednesday one is at 6:30 in the evening. The Friday one is at 9 o'clock in the morning. Just go to the Energy Pod and book those times, and I'll let you into the group, and I will give you a back to school pep talk, some tools and tricks, and some mind ninja stuff to get your head in the right place to get you back to school. So that's smileyforlife.com/energypod. I shall put all these links in below so that you've got them all. But basically, I really feel quite passionately about helping parents and children raise their self-esteem, because when you value yourself, life just gets, like we've talked about, so much easier. You pick the right relationships, you can make decisions, you know yourself, you're not carrying all this guilt and shame, you're not hiding bits of yourself or having to pretend to be someone you're not feeling like you have to be perfect all the time, like what a pressure. So I'd love to help you with that. I'm on your side. Whoop whoop, go you. So thank you for listening. If you feel brave enough to type your results to the self-esteem assessment in the box below, please do. But if you don't and you want to drop me a line, I'm lisa@smileyforlife.com. And if you have got low self-esteem and you'd like to work with me, please check out my new course, because I know it will really make a massive difference to your life and your child's. All right. Have a lovely weekend, everybody, and I hope to see you all really soon. Bye-bye. Bye.